evening. Yes. So you are ready to reproduce in your business, you say. Well, don't follow in the footsteps of that bad boss that you had. Tonight, we have a special guest joining us, an expert leadership coach, executive coach for women leaders. Yes, cultural development. This is Shayna Renee Hammond's specialty, especially with her trademark, the R3 method of leadership coaching, a spiritually inspired and research-based coaching methodology. We'll get into a little more of that tonight because you say that you're ready to delegate people. Yes. You're like, oh, I'm ready to have a few hires. I need some contractors. Maybe you're like, oh, I need some interns. I just need somebody other than me to do my business. Well, let's put your leadership to the test on tonight's episode. We have mother, educator, and leadership coach expert, Shayna Renee Hammond. Yes, yes, yes. But as always, what we always start out with, what has been your win of the week? So if you are joining us live, even if you're watching a replay, if you're watching a replay, I'm sure to put hashtag replay in the comments. But if you are joining us live as well, what has been your win of the week? It could be business, it could be personal, but what has been your win of the week? Something that you're proud of that you've done this week. What has been that win for you, right? And so for me, what has been my win of the week? Oh, today, and we're going to get to your win of the week too, Shayna. So get ready.
Okay.
I didn't prepare for this question. But today, I was invited to speak for our organization for the third time. So my third time speaking for their audience. And essentially this morning was a great presentation, went beautifully well. And people said, thank you, powerful, etc. So I just love speaking and teaching. You already know this. And so that's been a win of the week. Yes. Shayna, what's been your win of the week?
Congrats. So my win of the week was actually just yesterday. I started off the week with a big win, and that is that I met my last deadline for my book, my very first book. I turned it into my publisher. It feels amazing. I can't wait for it to come out soon. So that's
love it. Yes. I can't wait either. And so love it. You're welcome. We might get into that book tonight. We'll see what happens. But definitely tonight is about the leadership side of things, right? For those who are new to my show here, every Tuesday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, entrepreneurship is a marathon with yours truly, Vanessa Zammy. And what we do in this show, really my focus and my business consultant, I'm a business consultant, speaker, and best-selling author. And my focus is working with mid to late corporate professionals and helping them to grow their business, even with a demanding day job, right? And doing that without the struggle, sacrifice, or overwhelm so that they can transition into full-time entrepreneurship calmly and confidently. Yes, right? And part of that transition phase is making that step from solopreneur to entrepreneur and getting that team in place at the right time effectively and being the right leader for that. So Shayna will be giving us some great tips for that. For those who are new, we're gonna have a lovely commercial as usual. My name is Vanessa Zammy, the best-selling author of Finish, the Solopreneur's Guide to Getting Stuff Done. I'm the creator of the Hustle and Breathe Business Accelerator, through which I consult ambitious 9-to-5ers like you on how to grow their profit-producing, purpose-driven business without the overwhelm. Your efficiency, your productivity, and profitability, so that you can reduce the overwhelm and confusion in your life. You can enjoy your life. Entrepreneurship is a marathon. And if you've chosen to step into that marathon, yes, let's go.
Love that.
And so, yes, about our guest. Who is Shayna Renee? Who's Shayna Renee? Now you know about me. Now you know about entrepreneurship is a marathon. Looking forward to seeing you again next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. But tonight is not about that. Tonight is about tonight. So Shayna Renee Hammond is a leadership and life coach who has coached and developed thousands of school and executive leaders within the education and nonprofit sectors for nearly 20 years, folks. Yes, she's coming at you with a wealth of knowledge and experience. Yes, with her coaching practice, Shayna Renee is dedicated to creating spaces, methods, and conditions for Black women in leadership to thrive. She earned a master's degree in the art of teaching from Johns Hopkins University and a master's of education degree from the National Louis University. She completed a certificate in leadership coaching program at Georgetown University and is also a part-time faculty member at the University of Pennsylvania Graduate School of Education's Penn Literacy Network. So she speaks, breathes, in summary, Shayna speaks, breathes, and lives leadership coaching, right? And when she isn't coaching, facilitating, or leading, Shayna is enjoying quality time with her 2 children. Doesn't she look fabulous, folks? Judah and Joelle. She's learning a new sport, or she's showing up for her tribe, or she's exploring a new venue for spiritual growth and renewal. So applaud, yay. Yay. With that being said, Shayna, tell us why leadership coaching? How did you get into it? And just all the things.
Yes. So thank you, first of all, for that wonderful introduction and for having me. I got into leadership coaching on the other end as a client. I was a very young principal. I was actually a principal at 25. And I was sourced to coach, and she wasn't a former school leader. She even wasn't in the education field. So I was a little skeptical about, like, how can she really support me if she doesn't really understand my context, what I'm stepping into? And I really needed support. But I trusted the process. I dove right in, and she just seemingly magically would ask the right questions at the right time, and would unlock all these possibilities for me I hadn't thought of. She listened to the patterns in my speech. She listened to the patterns in what I was sharing in terms of the different challenges I was, creating. Creating, but also experiencing. And she helped me interrupt some old patterns that I didn't even realize were apparent. And that was my introduction to coaching. And it had a huge impact on my leadership, on my school. And I was like, there's something to this method that she was able to unlock this without having anything really to do, or didn't have school leadership specific experience, but was able to unlock so much in me. And so I fell in love with the methodology of coaching, without knowing that I would actually step into that seat later, but that impact didn't leave me. And ever since then, after leaving the principalship, I have been coaching. I've been studying coaching. I've been coaching leaders. Of course, I was coaching leaders when I was a school leader as well. But there isn't really a methodology that I have seen that really allows people to have agency around their learning in that way, and really change their mindset, and not only kind of have a different course and set of different practices and strategies, but what's even more important than the strategies is really your mindset and how you think and the patterns of thinking. And it's really through the coaching methodology that you're able to do that. And so I've been in love with it ever since, and been loving creating that same experience I had way back when for so many leaders since.
I love it. And, I even just love the high level of it, right? For those who are also, perhaps you're also a service provider listening and watching us here tonight, right? But just the fact that Shayna Renee, not only does she speak and breathe leadership coaching, but she also was a client of someone else's, right? So she also, she asked her clients to invest in her, she also invested in herself as well too, right? And she did that sort of practice what you preach. I love it. But also just looking at, how do you develop an even better experience for your clients? And I'm assuming that's what the R3 method was about.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Yes, the R3 method. The R's stand for rebirth, reset, and renew. So I've been coaching for many years now. So it's about 15 years later after that experience. And I noticed, especially with the Black women executives that I had the joy and honor of coaching through many different partnerships, I noticed some patterns, and I noticed some needs and some challenges, very similar ones. And the first R stands for rebirth. So rebirth is all about getting really clear, crystal clear on who you are, what your purpose is, and what your zone of genius is. A lot of us have been going really fast. We're wearing several hats. We're starting businesses on the side. We're moms, we're caretakers, we're caregivers. And sometimes we just get into the kind of routine of life. And I call it sleepwalking. Sometimes we can slip into sleepwalking and lose sight of who we are, lose sight of how much we've grown, lose sight of our big why we wake up in the morning and do what we do. And so the rebirth process is really a calling in of exactly, and just a reset around, wait a second, who am I? What do I love to do? What is my zone of genius? What is my craft? What have I been honing for so many different years? And are those two things the same thing? And many times they're not. Sometimes they are. And then what's my calling? What's that thing that I just can't shake? It just keeps following me. It scares me, but it just keeps showing up over and over and over. So surprise, surprise, my calling is leadership. And it's something that used to scare me, but it kept showing up. No matter how small I tried to make myself, no matter how much I tried to hide, there was always a situation that called me to the front in some way, shape, or form. And so the R is really the rebirth. It's a set of questions and a process to really get down to exactly what is my purpose. And within the Indigo Women community, we call it your JCC, your jam, your craft, and your calling. And then the second R is reset. So in any leadership capacity, any leadership position, you're inevitably going to have some setbacks. You're going to have some challenges. You're going to be called to level up in some way. You're going to be called to learn about yourself and really stretch yourself. And so the reset piece is really about what do you do in those moments? How do you pivot? And so there are things we talk about like the PVT. P stands for power, V stands for voice, and the T stands for time. So how are you using your time? And so that's when we explore how are you positioning your voice? Maybe there's a different way or a different audience. You might need to shift your audience a bit. What are your clients telling you? What are your staff members telling you? Exactly how do you maybe need to shift it so that you're more rooted in your power and you're better able to channel your power. And the last R is renew. So renew is all about how do we sustain ourselves as leaders. And so now that you've gotten clear on who you are, what you're here to do, you've gotten clear about what you need to do and how you need to pivot when times get tough. What does it mean to sustain your role over a long period of time? So what are those self-care practices? How might you need to shift your mindset such that self-care isn't just a set of practices that you do, but it's just how you roll. It's how you live your life. It's just, you're seeking pleasure and thriving over, maybe a concrete or tangible outcome. We want those as well, but we also want to thrive and have fun while doing it. And so that's what Renew is all about. And so that's the R3 method. Been using it for years. We use it very specifically and pointedly in our Indigo Women community, and just excited to share more about it.
Love it. Love it. Yes. So we got rebirth, reset, and renew. If you are feeling and vibing with this, I want you to react to the video with a like or a comment. And we got like some comments. Yes. So rebirth, reset, and renew, right? And also for those who aren't aware, I know I'm asking questions. You're also welcome to ask questions too in the comments to Shayna about any specific leadership questions that you have when it comes to delegating, when it comes to hiring, when it comes to just thinking about going beyond yourself, right? What are the questions that you have? You're welcome to comment them below and we will get to them. So curious. So I know, Shayna, when you describe the R3 method, something you say is that it's a spiritually based sort of methodology, right? Why is it important to incorporate the spiritual in leadership? Like, what is that about? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so it comes from a deep belief that we are both spiritual beings and we're physical human beings, right? We're having a human experience. And the greatest leaders that, we all admire, and there's a certain exercise I always do with different groups to really bring this to life, but we all kind of are led by people who make us feel welcomed, make us feel like we belong, make us really realize and step into the truth of who we are, the grandeur of who we are, a grander version of who we are. It's kind of like Maya Angelou's quote. We may not always, remember what people say or do, but we never, ever forget the way that people make us feel, right? It's those leaders that really embody that, that we aspire to, that we remember. And so it's really about making sure that people are tapping into their emotional intelligence. And one way to really tap into your emotional side, oftentimes our emotions are often impacted by our spiritual selves as well. And some of us are more aware of it. Some of us have different practices where we tap into our spirit self, or some people call it your true self. But it's those leaders who really live integrated lives and have a very clear inner moral compass that's guiding their actions, that's guiding their decisions. It's those people we trust a little bit more. It's those people we follow and go above and beyond for. And it's those people that are anchored. I know for me personally, that's what anchors me. Oftentimes I get the question, how do you do it? How do you do what you do? And, what really kind of centers you? And what centers me is my spiritual practice, is my awareness that it's really important to nurture that spirit side of myself. It's the first thing that came into this life. It's what I'm going to leave behind. And so it's really important that I nurture it. And so I tend to attract leaders who have a very similar understanding and just way of being and a way of leading. And it's those leaders who are really interested in really building out all parts of themselves in a holistic way that tend to stay in leadership longer, tend to thrive, and tend to have sustained results.
I love that. And I'm going to type that somewhere too. It's the leaders that are willing to focus on all parts of themselves, right? And bring that with them. That succeed. Yes, absolutely. It is a holistic process and journey when it comes to leading others. And I got tired. I had to write that down somewhere. So it's coming in something. Yes, indeed. So love it, love it, love it. So bringing all the gems. And I know someone just wrote a comment. I'm not sure if it pops up here yes. So Robin just wrote a comment. Great info. He says that he's on the right track, fully with you. Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. And so in terms of common pitfalls that you see in leadership, right? So what are those sort of when you're getting women in the Indigo Women program, and for those who are looking to check out more information about that, I'll put the link here as well on the screen. But you've had a couple of cohorts already, right, in the group coaching program. And what do you see are if you had to say like the top 2 or 3 common pitfalls or misconceptions or myths that people have when they join your program? You have to sort of tear it all down to build them back up again. What would you say those are?
Yeah, I'd say the first one is probably overthinking / over planning, and really not feeling like they're ready for the next level. They're not ready for the promotion. They're not ready to start their business. They're not kind of ready, and having this very narrow definition of what ready even means, and not realizing that they made it up, a lot of it, and made up these rules that really aren't realistic. And really are fear-based. And so a lot of times what we're doing in the program is we're really uncovering what kind of decisions are made from fear and which kinds of decisions are made from a place of love. And so a common pitfall, especially for leaders who lead in very high stakes sectors, or maybe they have large organizations and they have to move very quickly. Oftentimes they're moving from a defensive fear stance. They're, scared about what might happen. They're maybe making a scarcity-based decision. And they've just been doing it for so long, they don't realize it. And so oftentimes it's through the coaching process that they're able to kind of stop, pause, and really ask themselves questions like, who did say that was the requirement for us to go in this direction, or for me to level up in this way? And oftentimes they've just spent so much time preparing and thinking and not as much doing out of fear. And so it's a common pitfall, and in entrepreneurship as well. I know I personally fell into that in the beginning. I thought I had to have a clean, crisp business plan before I went out there and got clients. And it was another entrepreneur who literally said to me, Shayna, stop planning. Put the plan down and go get a client. He was like, what makes a business? And I was like, I don't know, money, clients. Exactly. Go get one. And so that was a big lesson. I would say the second one is not fully listening. So something I often say is that the most important leadership skill is actually listening. It's those leaders who learn how to listen with their whole bodies, listen to various perspectives, invite various perspectives into the space, that end up making the best decisions, and especially decisions that are going to have the best impact on who they're trying to serve at the end of the day. And oftentimes, you know, and research tells us this, a lot of us overestimate how well we actually do listen, and provide space, again, because we're moving so quickly. And then when you combine not listening with overthinking and planning, and then you have decisions that you have to kind of walk back later. So that tends to come up a lot, quite a bit.
Love it. I was on mute. Yes, I said listen with your whole body. What that reminds me of in terms of listening with your whole body is it's trusting your instinct, right? It's really like essentially like your whole body, your instinct is rooted in that whole body, your whole center. And so it's getting to that point where you can trust your entire instinct, and where you had that gut feeling. For those who aren't familiar, like gut feeling that people say, listen to your gut. Right? It's trusting your instinct, and it's really just listening with your whole body. If anything feels off, like where does it feel off, and thinking about what does that mean, and how does that then going to drive your next decision that you make. And when you have a sort of center, clarity, and confidence in what it is that you're doing, and what is it you believe, and you actively listen, and you have all those senses all together, then you're able to then trust your whole body. You're able to listen to your full instinct, right? On the opposite end, if you're sitting here like, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that. Can that person really do that work? Like maybe I should do this and that. I mean, entrepreneurship, it comes into play the shiny object syndrome, or using perfection to, keep you from actually moving forward in your business. So you have all that stuff wrapped up in your brain. It just blocks the instinct. It blocks the whole body listening that you can do. And so it's really like you have to get into that grounded center.
Yeah. Something else I want to add too is that, again, with trusting self, what happens with a lot of women, that I've noticed, a lot of leaders in general, because they've been moving so fast, they've also lost sight of joy. They've lost sight of an understanding of even what brings them joy. And so we have a whole section around what I call joyfidence, and how to really bring more joy in more intentional ways, and allowing pleasure to actually lead you. And so many of them, it's like, whoo, pleasure. Like I haven't thought about pleasure and I don't know how long, right?
Yeah.
And how do you do your work in more pleasurable ways? And how do you do it from a place of joy? And is that even possible? I get that all the time. Like, I didn't even think that was possible. I didn't think it was possible to really like look at my role in a different way and actually love it and come back. A lot of women actually come in thinking, well, maybe I'm in the wrong role, and then come out realizing I was looking at this role and myself in it from a dated perspective. And I wasn't looking at it through the lens of like, hold on, what is my jam? What brings me joy? And how can I reposition and resituate how I do this role so that I can do it from a place of joy? And so I always say, like, you can fake confidence, but you can't fake joy. And joy is infectious. And once you find that for yourself, you're going to find it, really amplify your leadership.
It does. It does indeed. That's why I was saying in the business of happiness, right? Each one happy person is everyone else around them happy.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. It really is infectious. And something else that you had talked about really reminds me of the workshop I had mentioned that I did earlier today, where a big part of what I tell people, like, and part of time management, is really being selfish and incorporating non-negotiables, I call them, into your day and into your life. Whether it's something that you have to do every week, every quarter, every month that really satisfies you and brings you joy. And it was a question that someone had. They're like, well, how do you know what that should be? Right? Because that person was suffering from not knowing what it looks like. And I was like, listen, what brings you? You got to go back to what brings you joy, right? Think about the last time you were happy. What were you doing? Was it reading a book? Was it walking down the street? Right? Was it traveling somewhere else? Right? And I also even mentioned that a lot of times a pattern is that people say, oh, I used to do a lot of this. I used to dance in high school. I took ballet classes. And then in college, I stopped. I stopped when I went to college to focus on my career. I used to write and paint, but then I stopped because I decided to focus on my career in college. And it's like, chances are that's the thing that brings you joy, and you need to bring that back into your life. And some form of fashion, you need to bring that back into your life some way, somehow, so that you can really tap into that at least during the day. I remember when I was in the corporate world, I was like, I took like classes in the Golden Gate Park. I did my whole mosaic thing. I even signed up for piano lessons. What else? I did some other stuff. Now as an entrepreneur, my non-negotiables are really just talking to people all day and really finding the time to have fun. in whatever it is that I do. And having fun to me, because I like different things, having fun to me means many different things. It's learning something new. It's, hanging out with friends, positive friends, life enriching friends. There's a difference. Yes, there is. So yes. Love it, Lola. This is great. This is awesome. Yes, if you're vibing, I want you to react to the video. Got some reactions already. And comment if you have any questions as well, too. So Shayna, what is the next big thing for your business? What are you working on? And I think it's the group coaching program, but let me know. Yes, what are you working on? Yes, love it.
We are in cohort 6 of our Indigo Women Group Coaching Program. It's a 9-week program. We go through the R3 process, rebirth, reset, and renew. It's exclusively designed for and by Black women. It's so hard to describe because it really is an experience. So if you're someone who's leveling up in your personal or professional or both, we tend to attract both. This is the experience for you, especially if you're someone who just started a business and you're maybe you might feel stuck. You might feel like, I'm not sure what's next, or something has to shake up, but I'm just looking for some clarity. And that's the place to go. And so the application deadline is August 31st. The cohort begins September 7th. We meet in the evening, 7:00 on Tuesday nights. It's a great time. Hope to see you there.
Awesome. Love it. Yes, I put the links in the videos, wherever you're watching, the link is there. And also here on the screen. So ShaynaRenee.com/coaching, and check her out also on Instagram at the Shayna Renee. It's been popping up on your screen at the bottom here in the ticker, or on Facebook or on LinkedIn. And thank you to our amazing guest, Shayna Renee. This has been another wonderful episode of Entrepreneurship is a Marathon. Join us again next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. This month, all of August, we're going into leadership and delegation. And this was just one of those fabulous episodes. So tune in again next week, 9 p.m. Eastern. Chat to you soon.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone.